Hi everyone, I'm Will from Will's Electrical Services, also known as the Midfield General. In today's episode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little tour of some of the Hager stuff that I use in emergency call-outs and I'm going to give you a quick tour of the range. The reason I'm showing you the Hager is because that is my go-to brand for my white accessories. I've been using it for the last 12 years. I find it highly reliable, cost-effective, and I think it looks good as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a tour of all the lighting accessories, all the power and all that, and I'm going to give you a little chat of how I do stuff, you know. I know some of it's not reinventing the wheel like switching and that, but yeah, so we're going to go through that. Sorry if you hear a bit of crash wang bollock, but there's a bit of a storm going on at the moment, so it's going to be a bit loud. So what I'll do is I'll bring you, we start off with the lighting accessories, yeah? Right, so just a little quick tour of what we've got here. So what we've got here is obviously my wholesaler and myself, my wholesaler doesn't even stock one-way switches, and I would never even buy one-way switches. So we're going to start off with the two-way switch. I'll just show you the terminals. They're all the same. Unlike MK, the screws aren't backed off on these, which isn't a problem, but they're very sound, very well made. Hager. It's very rare you get one that like fails on you, but it's the same as everything. They're mass produced, so you know, but yeah, they're lovely. They're really nice. So that's the two-way switch. These also, which I've never done, I've never ever done it, is that I remember when they actually brought these out, they relaunched them because now we do a lot of feed the switches. They've actually got a neutral terminal, like neutral loop there for the switches, which I don't like the idea of it, because most of the time if you're feeding the switches, you're going to have 3 neutrals, and you know, I put them in there. So what I do now is I just basically put them in three-way Wagos, the neutrals and all that, and I don't bring them into there. I don't know why. I just, you know, ever since they come out, I think they've probably been putting the neutral terminal on there for probably about the last 6, 7 years maybe. I don't know. It'd be interesting if you know. You could leave a comment on below. The next one is the intermediate switch there as well. It's nice. Looks exactly the same as another single pole switch, you know, or a one gang switch, you know, just got the the terminals in there. It's really nice. What we've got there, we've got another two-way switch there, and then we've got the 2-gang switch, pretty much the same. You know, these are pretty basic. I can't teach you too much here. You know, got a 4-gang, you know, and you can make a 3-gang or 2, because obviously they've got the grid system as well, which unfortunately I haven't got too much of that to show you because it's out. And to be honest, I've got to be honest, with the grid system, I usually revert back to MK only because of the key switch, and the key switch is more popular, so it's safer to have like the MK. That's probably the only product of MK that I still use is the key switch. So if anyone wants an emergency key switch or anything like that, then I will steer towards MK. I don't know why, it just feels better. This is a new product. I think it's come out last year, and I'll quickly show you this. Is the Hager at the moment, like, they don't do their own dimmers. What they do is they do the touch, the make and break ones. So they come on, you know, go up and all that. So what they've done is they've brought out like the blank plates to go with all the others. And so what I always go to with anything, whatever type of brand or anything I use, I will always use the Very Light V Pros. You know, they are by far the best dimmer on the market by a million miles, you know, for the price and everything. I used to have quite a bit of problems with dimmers, and I spoke to my friend Mickey from MV Electrical Engineers. I'll put a link below to his Instagram and all that, and he advised me. He said, look, Will, he goes, I use these Very Light V Pros, and I don't know how familiar you are with Very Light, but you know, they're not the most popular brand, so you know, I was a bit sceptical and all that, and I got them, and I've got to admit, I've never failed. They've never failed me at all. There is a bit of a problem with the programming and all that, because sometimes if you turn the switch on and off pretty quick, it goes into program mode. It goes through a test sequence, and it can, you know, if you're a customer or anything like that, it can like act really strange, like as if it's broken, but it isn't. And we've actually we'll say we won a customer. We went to a woman's house to sort out her LED underneath the kitchen and all that, and I'll put a clip on it now and I'll show you it. And as we were leaving, she was complaining about her last electrician. You know, that particular one was a rough electrician. The guy just literally put she wanted under cabinet lights, and the house was spectacular, and literally just put a fluorescent down there. It was ridiculous. She was complaining that the lights, like the downlights and everything, was all wrong and all that, and she proper lost faith in electricians. And I said, oh, let's just have a little play. And we noticed, you know, I recognised that it was in a programmed thing, so we set them all up for it, and now we're doing loads of work for them, you know. And it's just, you know, just out of curiosity really, because it was a stunning house, and it was just, you know, I think it was just where their kids would keep flicking them on and off, and you know, mess them all up. But yeah, highly recommend it. Yeah, so another light and accessory that's very popular, but say very popular, if you've got very high ceilings, or you don't, you know, you've got customers who don't like ceiling lights and all that, and they're not, you know, because wall lights now are quite unfashionable, aren't they? You know, they do these, and like, these aren't a new product, they've been around for donkey's years, but these are 5 amp plugs. What these are is that they come with a small little 5 amp plug that doesn't have a fuse in it, and it comes off the lighting circuit, so you obviously switch this on and off via the wall switch, and it turns off, you know, like, and then you put table lanterns and all stuff like that, you know, and then you just literally change the plug on it, and it's there. The reason it's 5 amp is because obviously it's switched by the light switch, which is obviously on a 6 or a 10 amp breaker, MCB, so obviously you can't plug in the Hoover and knock it out. That's quite a popular fault if you find that is, you know, if you go places, people tend to do that because they find it easier to to change this to a single socket than rather change the plug, you know, because these are regularly available. They're in every wholesaler. It's just that people don't see them, and when you ask people, like, you know, because obviously when I go survey jobs and anything like that, I always ask people, you know, what type of light they want. You know, you can usually get the gist of the building. You know, if it's a really high ceilings, you know, you don't really want to put a light in the ceiling where, you know, maintenance wise for them 10 years down the line, they ain't going to be jumping up like 20 foot to change the lamp, are they? So these are a really good option, and they look really smart because you do get a lot of people who do like the table lanterns, and when they actually buy into the idea of that, it's wonderful and it looks awesome. Yeah, right, I'm going to put this away and then we're going to go through all the power. Right, I just want to show you through the power accessories and all that, and what I'll probably do is I'll probably leave the kitchen stuff to the end so we can go through all that. That's if you're still awake anyway. Right, so I'll give you a quick tour through these. So what we've got is we've got the double socket. This one's got inboard switches. When we used to do North France, they actually do them with the switches on the outside. That's for old people or accidentally turning stuff off and all stuff like that. So they've got that. You've got the single socket there with no switch. That's good for kitchen accessories. I'll cover that when we go through kitchens. We've also got a flex outlet there. This is pretty good. I use that for towel rails in bathrooms, stuff like that. Also, maybe anything that's being switched via a spur or something like that, you can come out with a flex. This particular one hasn't got a flex. It has. Sorry, some of these accessories, they have knockouts that are already in the already impregnated in the front, so you can take them out. You get a choice of with flex outlet or without, but obviously with a connection unit, I had a bit of a moment, but you just knocked a bit of like plastic out at the bottom. I'll show you it when we come up close. We've also got the 20 amp switch here. This is obviously for immersions, which are usually 3 kilowatts, 16 amps, so you know that has to go on. That's a massive observation. Every time you do a test, they're always on switch fuse spurs. You know, you can't have a 3 kilowatt immersion heater on a 13 amp supply. Yeah, but because obviously they've always got the immersions usually back up, they hardly ever use them, but yeah, that's obviously why there's never an issue. But yeah, that does come with flex or without flex outlet. Yeah. Also, you've got the unswitched fuse spur. This is brilliant. Obviously, this is mainly commonly used on stuff like when you're wiring lighting off the ring main, or you know, downsiding like security alarms, anything like that. Like we only used one yesterday. We've done some LED bookcasing, and we wired a. Yeah, we've done some LED bookcasing, and what we done is that we used one of these, the wireless kinetic switch kit, which is awesome. You know, we hid the driver we hid the driver and the receiver in other boxes next to it, and we just like done this. So obviously people can't touch it and alter it, because as soon as they do that, you're going to ruin that. So that's all right. That's very nice. Then you've got the single socket, which is switch, which, to be honest, we very rarely use now. If we do rewires and anything, we just put in, other than designated sockets for which are controlled by switch fuse spurs, then we're always going to put double sockets on, because, you know, even if you go in like landing and halls in houses and all that, you know, you're always going to have the plug-in air freshener and want to use the Hoover, or some, you know, young families have the night lights for the sockets, you know, for the kids if they get up during the night to go to the toilet. But yeah, so, you know, very rarely use them. Yeah. We'll just sort this out, and then I'll give you a quick tour of the kitchens, what I do in the kitchen. Right, so what I generally try to do in the kitchens is, what we usually do is, when on the surveys, what I do is I've got a little questionnaire, like sort of type of thing, that I email to the customers, and they put down all the appliances they're going to use, all their model types and all that. And this is critical, because there's a lot of, like, very fashionable at the moment is to have these combi microwave ovens that are usually about 16 amps. So, you know, they should be going on their designated circuits, and that's where we use a lot of the 20 amp. We use a lot of the 20 amp switches, you know, in the corners and all that. And obviously, with the reason I did a survey is that it dictates the size of the cabling and all that. And what I tend to do these days is that we usually discuss with the customers and arrange a place where we can put all the isolators together. I'll put a few images on the screen so you can see what I'm on about. It just saves so much hassle with all around the splashbacks. I know you could have probably put them all in the grid switch and fused and all that, but I don't bother, you know what I mean? I don't really see the point. They're hidden in the cupboard. They're usually above the oven, you know, where most customers always put the cereals. They forget about them. It ticks all the boxes for the regulations, and everyone's happy, you know. I'm happy because we get the isolators. But yeah, as a little tip, when I'm marking out all the sockets and all that, is what I usually tend to do is I tend to usually use that as a spacing. So I put that one on like that, then mark it, you know, then put that one next to it. You know, obviously I've got enough. I usually have 10, because what you usually have is that you have all the loads, and the bottom one, which you're using as a template, will then, so these are the supply obviously, and the bottom ones are the load. So, you know, eventually they will go down into the cupboard, into the load. I hope that makes sense. I'll hopefully explain it by the photos anyway. But yeah, what I tend to do is that you've got the switch fuse spurs to go in the cupboards. This one's got a neon on it, so, you know, that the neon one's pretty good for loft lights and stuff like that, if, you know, customers want to see if they're on or anything like that. Or if not, you know, you just go for the switch fuse spur without the light. You know, that's ideal. That's pretty good, you know. And then row them up. It looks neat as anything. It ticks all the boxes, as I say. And what I tend to do is, to save any mistakes, is I'll just put a single socket. So usually you tend to have dishwasher, microwave, dishwasher, washing machine, tumble dryer, extractor fan. Extractor fan's enough a good one that you could have on that. You could even put that, you know, I don't like to cut the plugs off, so you could actually use connection units and all them, because most of the time you could drill the holes, put the grommets in, everyone's happy, it looks smart, neat and all that. Then you've got the cooker switches, you know, which, like, if we're using 6mm, I use the single ones. If we're using portrait ones, then if we're using 10mm, then I would always use these ones, the double ones. I don't even bother with those. I don't think it's safe. The amount of times I go to places and there's always a loose connection from this and the 10mm, it should be banned for somehow. It should be put out of the regulations. You should be able to put these, you know, whether, you know, if it's on a shower, you should be able to put in the airing cupboard, anything like that, you know. I definitely don't agree with those. I think they're well naughty. And then also in the kitchens as well, for the pelmet lighting and all that, what I tend to do is I usually either put a single socket. I do it three ways. I either do a 5 amp, or I do a connection unit, or a plug top, you know. Or if it's really, you know, if you really don't know in the drawings, you know, some of these customers make up these kitchens as they go along. We just leave the cable coming out the top, and then we use a Wago box 501 or a click plug, you know. But yeah, that's how I tend to do the kitchens and all that, and you know, it really works well, you know. And obviously we've got the cooker nose. Loads of people call them different things, cooker net, like nose, cooker wedge, you know, there's loads of, I always call them cooker nose, you know, but we've all got different names for them anyway, haven't we? Right, as it was only a quick tour of all the Hager stuff, and hopefully some of it might be some help and all that, and you know, and I highly recommend it, you know. And this is what I'm trying to do in this series. I'm only recommending stuff I actually use. Yeah, I know some of it I've hardly reinvented the wheel with this presentation, but it is what it is. Right, I hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll see you later, alligator, up the old blues, you know.